Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your storyteller, Xiao Ming. Today we won't talk about grand castles, velvet gowns, or the aristocratic specters who sip blood. We are going back to the primordial age, before human civilization had lit its first lamp, to touch upon a being older, wilder, and more ruthless, China's progenitor of the bloodsuckers. They are not cursed immortals, but eternal spirits of hunger, awakened from the very bones of creation. Imagine, if the Dracula of Western myths is an elegant aristocrat, then the Chinese vampire, Jiangshi, is the primal beast. They don't sip blood wine. They approach slowly, with stiff necks, their fangs like rusted iron nails that pierce the skin with a crack. Then comes the silence of death. Only a perpetual stopped hiss, gurgle emerges from deep in their throat, like a broken bellows drawing its last breath. In mere moments, the living person is reduced to a dry husk, swaying lightly in the wind. Legend has it that the source of all this came from the skull of Pangu, the original titan who cleaved the heavens and the earth with his own body. For 10,000 years after his death, his skull remained an empty void, until one gray dawn, a cold laugh suddenly echoed from deep within the bone cavity. That was not an echo. That was the first entity to dare say no to creation, finally opening its eyes. The ancients named this entity Hòu. Hòu. It is neither a god nor a demon. It is simply the primal malice that, at the very moment the universe was born, was the only one that refused to obey. Imagine if the Prometheus of Western myth didn't just steal fire, but actively dismantled Olympus. Hòu is that rebellious malevolence. Hòu does not mend the cosmos. It dismantles it. While Nüwa raised the 5 colored stones to repair the sky, Hòu stood atop the mountain peak, slowly tearing open its own arm, like ripping apart a scroll of scorched leather, peeling off the entire layer of skin to expose the writhing, asphalt-thick black blood beneath. The black blood drips into rivers, emitting the sizzle of molten iron hitting water. The villagers who drank from the river did not go mad. They were merely purified. The face of their mother, the names of their children, even the sensation of pain, all were erased from their minds. All that remained were empty shells of bodies, in whose ears Hòu's laughter echoed, driving them to lift stone axes and strike down the ones closest to them. To Hòu, the wails of humanity are the purest song in the world. This endless chaos finally alarmed the gods of creation. Nüwa and Fuxi descended, not to judge, but to exterminate. For they knew well, if Hòu was allowed to continue teaching oblivion and mutual slaughter as its introductory lesson, humanity would perish in a pool of blood before it even had time to invent writing. But Hòu's body was indestructible, like Vajra. Divine weapons could not sever it, and celestial lightning could not crack it. Helpless, the 2 ancient gods exhausted their divine power, using supreme law to forcibly tear Hòu's soul away, ripping it into 3 strands of remnant consciousness. This, along with the soulless body, was sealed across the 4 corners of the world, suppressed for eternity. But resentment is never something that can be easily divided. It permeated the seal like mold, and when the time was quietly ripe, it found 4 perfect vessels, 4 souls and bodies bearing colossal grievances for which there was no recourse. Hòu's 3 strands of remnant soul and its empty shell thus quietly fell into the mortal world, transforming into the 4 great progenitors of Chinese vampires, Jiangshi. Yinggo, Hou Qing, Han Ba, and Zhang Chen. They are not mindless walking dead, but walking divine retribution, carrying the primal malice from the dawn of creation. These stories are not isolated fragments. They are a web of Hou's hatred, interwoven like spider silk, slowly dragging the mortal world into eternal night. Let us begin with the first. Imagine a betrayed fire, much like a gladiator forgotten by the Roman Empire. Yinggo was once the sharpest blade under the command of the Yellow Emperor. During the final war against Qi You, the god of war, he led his troops with orders to cover the rear, bloodying themselves to hold a perilous pass for 3 days and 3 nights. Arrows fell like rain, corpses piled up across the fields. Yet reinforcements never arrived. When he finally led his broken, ghost-like battalion in a breakout, he found the Yellow Emperor's army already parading with banners flying, making a triumphant entry into the city. No one remembered the rearguard unit that had given everything for the victory, only to be completely forgotten in the bloody quagmire of battle. The Yellow Emperor stood on his magnificent chariot, his eyes filled only with glory, devoid of any pity. In a fury, before Yinggo could even open his mouth to explain, the Yellow Emperor decreed, "You abandoned your post. You are a shameful deserter." A single icy edict banished the heroic general to the Yellow Springs and the Sea of Darkness, a place that was not a location, but a dumping ground for the divine. The seawater was warm and viscous, like diluted plasma. The air was suspended with invisible black threads that, once inhaled, clung to the lungs like spider silk. The waves beat not against rocks, but against layers of corpses and bones deposited over millennia, a decade, a century. Yinggo stood on the shore, watching his own flesh decay inch by agonizing inch, until one night, a wisp of black smoke rose from the sea. It had no form, yet a voice detonated in his mind. "Are you content to be treated as a pawn and rot in the gods' refuse heap? Give your hatred to me. I will give you the power to tear the heavens apart." Yinggo smiled. He willingly opened his chest, welcoming the wisp of black smoke into his heart. With a sharp crack, his ribs jutted outwards like black iron thorns. His skin hardened into a bronze cuirass. The blood drained from his eyes, leaving only 2 points of spectral green fire. The zombie progenitor, Yinggo, was born. He burst out of the Sea of Darkness, seeking revenge on the mortal world. The Yellow Emperor personally led the campaign, wielding the Xuanyuan sword, whose edge caused the corpse energy to dissipate wherever it struck. 49 days of bloody warfare followed, shattering mountains and rivers. Ultimately, the Xuanyuan sword shattered Yinggo's body. That strand of lingering resentment transformed into a shadow and vanished into the earth's veins. It remains deep underground to this day, like a black heart waiting to explode. It awaits the next soul betrayed by power to awaken it. But if betrayal is a raging fire, what becomes of the despair of loyalty? Next, we have the scoff of another warrior, like an unsung hero crushed beneath the wheels of victory. Yinggo's hatred was the flame of betrayal, but Hou Qing's tragedy was rooted in the purest, most absolute, desperate loyalty. At the very front line of the same battlefield, he was struck by 37 arrows, standing like a crimson statue bristling with feathers. Despite this, Hou Qing clung desperately to the enemy's commanding general, using his own body to carve open a path of blood that decided the victory. On the day of the triumph, his corpse lay right beside the Victory Avenue. The victorious chariot rolled right over his still outstretched hand, the sound of his finger bones cracking, utterly drowned out by the cheers. The priest's blessings and the blue smoke of incense curled right before his still open eyes. The rainwater washed away the blood, revealing a solidified smile. It was not peace. It was a sneer that saw through everything. He remembered every passing face, every name that turned and walked away. This grievance, potent as pure brewed poison, attracted the second strand of Hòu's remnant soul. It asked no questions, directly devouring Hao Qing's wandering spirit, using his corpse as a furnace to forge an eternal curse. All those who die unjustly, whose bodies are exposed in the wilderness, whose eyes cannot close in peace, their corpses shall open their eyes on the night of the full moon. Their souls shall rise when the thunder rolls, with fangs as their blades and resentment as their might. They shall claim a long-delayed justice from this unfair world. This is the true origin of all the hopping vampires, Jiangshi. It is neither a Taoist's mistake nor an imbalance of feng shui, but a covenant of vengeance signed by millions of wronged souls with their own corpses. That is why the ancients would rather carry a body for 1,000 miles to ensure fallen leaves return to their roots, burial in one's homeland. That is why the eyes must be closed and the nostrils stuffed before burial. It is not superstition, but terror, a fear that the departed body, on a night of the full moon, might suddenly hear Hao Qing's whisper rising from underground, the man whose hand was crushed by the chariot, the man forgotten by victory, speaking to all unjustly dead corpses. It's your turn now. And then, the coffin lid will spring open on its own. But if loyalty is repaid with oblivion, what becomes of sacrifice? Next is the ashen lament of the Yellow Emperor's daughter, like the eternally burning wings of Icarus after his fall. Hao Qing's curse spread like a plague, while Han Ba's story is the ashes of sacrifice. Her original name was Nüwa, the Yellow Emperor's youngest daughter. She was frail and sickly, yet deeply concerned with the war effort. When Qi Yo summoned the Wind God and the Rain Master, and torrential rain flooded the Yellow Emperor's camp, the dying Nüwa heard her father's despair from her sickbed. She bit her fingertip, drew a talisman with her blood, and prayed to the heavens and earth. If someone must bear the name Han Ba, Drought Demon, I volunteer. At that very moment, the third strand of Hòu's remnant soul scented the odor of sacrifice, rushing toward the weakened body like a shark swarmed to blood and burrowed into her failing frame. The change began quietly. Her tears evaporated at the corners of her eyes. Her hair burned into ash. Her skin cracked like parched earth, weeping, scalding white vapor. As she staggered toward the battlefield, 100 miles of thunderclouds instantly dissipated. The earth cracked open, riverbeds lay bare, and the enemy's war horses collapsed, foaming at the mouth. The Yellow Emperor won. But when he tried to embrace his daughter, the moment his fingertip touched her arm, his skin instantly scorched and blistered. She was not a weapon. She was the price of victory. The Yellow Emperor could only issue an edict. I hereby seal Nüwa as the drought goddess, to be eternally suppressed in the frigid land of the far north. There were no rivers to evaporate, no living things to harm, only the permafrost wilderness and knife-like cold winds. Legend has it that one year, when the heavy snow sealed the mountains, a lost hunter saw a woman standing upon an ice cliff. Her entire body was covered in frost, yet her eyes alone were crimson, burning brightly like charcoal. The hunter approached, wanting to offer her his furs, but saw her slowly raise a hand, pointing to her chest. Beneath the layer of ice, a heart was still burning. But if the souls bring forth curses, how terrifying is the thirst of the empty shell. The last one is Hòu's original body, like the insatiable hunger from Pandora's box. The first three carried Hòu's spirit, soul. Jiangshi, however, bears Hòu's physical shell. After Hòu's soul was extracted, its giant, indestructible body was suppressed by Haotian, the lord of all gods, using the sacred branch of Jianmu. However, the instant the life force of the sacred tree was injected into the corpse, a transformation exploded. Above the dry bones, sinews were reborn like black lightning. Within the stagnant blood vessels, asphalt like black blood was granted new life, roaring as it coursed throughout the body. A body without a soul, without consciousness, and without the sensation of pain, stood up. It was named Jiangshi, the supreme progenitor, the source of all blood-sucking vampires. It held no desire for revenge or sorrow. It possessed only a cosmic-level hunger, like the silent plea of scorched earth for rain, like the instinctive yearning of deep-sea fish for light. And its only rain and light was the purest, hottest, most fearfully pulsing human blood. Its fangs were neither bone nor horn, but crystallized resentment compressed over millennia. Its bite did not just draw blood, but injected corpse poison, a living curse that awakens the latent grievances within the deceased. The lineage of Jiangshi flows through every blood-drinking, infectious Suniverse Jiangshi. He is an eternal engine of disaster, a ceaseless roar echoing from the dark corners of civilization. This concludes the legends of the four great zombie progenitors of China. The hopping zombies you see in Hong Kong films today are low-level undead under Hao Qing's curse. Forgotten miners, prisoners of war, and strangers in a foreign land. They crawl out of mass graves under the moonlight, simply to ask one question. Why me? And the blood-sucking vampire, in its Qing dynasty official robes with sharp fangs and menacing claws. That is the residual resonance of Jiangqi's lineage, the echoing sound of an eternal thirst. How does one fight them then? Glutinous rice, the inked string of the carpenter's line, the peachwood sword. These magical tools might be effective against low-level walking corpses, but against the zombie progenitors, who embody the union of primal malice and monumental injustice, these tools are nothing more than children's toys. Only the fierce, destructive energy of the Xuanyuan sword, or the supremely yang and unyielding golden light of accumulated merit, can possibly match them. But for us mere mortals, true defense never lies in external objects. There is only one thing: to remember their names and the injustice they suffered. Because in the darkness of China, being forgotten is the true death, and their vengeance is merely justice delayed, knocking at the door in the night. Now close your eyes and imagine hearing that low growl. What is it asking you? If you hear that growl, don't rush to close your window. That voice isn't searching for the living. It is searching for debt. Ask yourself first, do I owe anyone a debt? Xiao Ming, and thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story of injustice and vengeance, please share it with your friends who also love dark legends. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story I prepare for you in the deeper darkness. Until next time, we meet in the deeper darkness.